Beatrice Quimby's biggest problem was her little sister Ramona. Beatrice, or Beezus as everyone called her.
One Friday afternoon, Henry Huggins was on the front steps of his White House on Klickitat Street with his dog.
Beverly Cleary is one of the greatest writers in the history of Oregon.
She's a rock star.
I think she's a great author, and I really enjoy reading her books.
And B, one of the greatest writers in the history of America.
She does more with one sentence than a lot of writers can do with a whole chapter.
And C, one of the greatest writers in the history of the planet, because why? Beverly Cleary has sold 99 million books.
Sometimes when you go back and read books that you loved as a kid and they just don't seem to work anymore, her books do.
She's awesome.
Henry sighed. He wanted a bicycle now. He could see himself riding up and down Klickitat Street on a shiny red bicycle. He would wear his genuine Daniel Boone coonskin cap.
I know when I first moved to Portland and I was walking my dog down the street, Klickitat Street. Where do I know Klickitat Street? That's a funny name. And then I realized that Ramona and Beezus and Henry all lived on Klickitat Street. And I thought, my gosh, I never thought that was a real place. I thought it was Generica. It seemed so much like where I was growing up, even though I was growing up in a big city, Brooklyn, New York. And I went and got out a lot of books from the library, started rereading them, and all of a sudden I realized I'm in Beverly Cleary's neighborhood.
Beverly Cleary is an award-winning author whose books have been treasured by millions of young readers. At age 99, she sat down with us for a rare look back on her life and celebrated career.
Well, it was just work that I enjoyed. I could do it at home, and I didn't have to catch a bus.
She created characters who've been loved by 3 generations: Ramona Quimby and her big sister Beezus, Henry Huggins, Ralph S. Mouse and his motorcycle, Socks the cat, and many more.
When someone hears the name Beverly Cleary, it immediately evokes this emotional response of, I learned to read with her books, or I remember her characters. I mean, it's pretty amazing how many millions of lives she's touched with her stories.
Socks rolled over on his back and swiped at her with one white paw.
She is a woman who wrote about kids that weren't being written about. I love that middle-class family. The family felt very much like my family. So I would say that she was a person that pushed boundaries in her time.
Beverly Atlee Bunn was born April 12, 1916, to Lloyd and Mabel Bunn. Both sides of her family were pioneers who had migrated west to Oregon. The family lived in a farmhouse on 80 acres in rural Yamhill, Oregon, population 350.
Her father was a farmer, and he loved being a farmer, and he was a very good farmer. But in those days, before agricultural price supports, you couldn't make a living on the farm. He could have a bumper crop and still lose money. Her mother was trained as a teacher, very well-read, very educated, but a married woman did not teach back then. So her mother had to stay home.
I had resisted learning to read. My mother wanted to teach me, but I felt, well, why should I when she can read to me?
The farm seemed like a playground for young Beverly. Both parents were busy, and she was free to wander and explore. She describes her childhood in her memoir, A Girl from Yamhill.
Sunny afternoons, I sat among the windfalls under an apple tree that bore cream-colored apples with pink cheeks. Sniffing the sun-warmed fruit, taking one bite, throwing the rest of the apple away, and biting into another. The first bite of an apple tastes best.
Her mother opened the first library in Yamhill. Beverly was more interested in playing outside.
Well, it was wonderful. There was so much to look at and do, but the one thing that was missing was other children.
Eventually, the financial stress of farm life became too much for Lloyd and Mabel. When Beverly was 6, the family leased their acreage and moved 40 miles north.